evening, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Captain Logan, and I thought I would jump on and talk a little bit about something that has been really preoccupying my mind and my gear lately. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's the 30th anniversary this year for Nightmare, and of course, the year is almost out, so I thought I might as well finally devote a whole stream to this, or at least most of a stream. If you guys want to talk about something else toward the end, and we get a little bit of a crowd here, that's totally cool. But this is a movie that has always been near and dear to me, at least music-wise and visually. I've always had story issues with it and found it not especially satisfying by the end, but it is a really special piece for me, a thing that I'm really nostalgic for, like a lot of people my age, kids that grew up when I did, and it has just been everywhere this year, been absolutely inundated with it, and a lot of that is because my son Mikey, who is 5 this year, it is his favorite movie, and he's watched it over and over and over again. It's like a lot of kids with Finding Nemo or The Lion King, from like various eras, kids growing up. That movie, Toy Story, that movie that a lot of kids watched a bazillion times. It's the thing that Mikey watches a movie almost every day with his nap time, and this is probably like the third, like every 3 movies, this is probably the one he picks, and it's been really cool the way it's lined up for us this year, because he's gotten so much cool stuff he's gotten to do this year for Nightmare. So I took him to see the theatrical release. It was re-released officially and wide, and I got to take him to that for a matinee earlier in the year. And then just this last Friday, I took him to see the Kansas City Symphony, which played the entire, so it was Night Before Christmas in concert. They played the entirety of the score along with the movie, so you watched it on this huge screen in front of, behind like an 80-piece orchestra, and it was really special for him. I got him a Jack Skellington plushie, this big, tall, lanky I would show it to you, but he's sleeping with it right now. And so it's been a really cool year for him, and I felt kind of dumb because when Christmas supplies started coming out, ornaments and stuff, I just started seeing it constantly, and I was like, why this year? Why is there so much more Nightmare? And like, it's a thing that has continued to be merchandised all this time, but all of a sudden this year was just everywhere. It was like you were as likely to find Jack Skellington as you were Santa Claus, just like everywhere you went. Your Walmarts, your Targets, like any big box place, any place that had Christmas supplies. And it took me a while to put together, like I knew it was the 30th anniversary, but for some reason I didn't put that together with why I was seeing it all over the place. Nightmare has gotten one of the best anniversaries of any property I've ever seen, like as good or like I'd say better than Star Trek's 50th anniversary, and it's just kind of impressive, the sheer amount of stuff that's been all over the place. And then that got me thinking, how come we haven't seen a sequel to this, or especially in this day and age where everything's coming back, your decades later sequels, your soft reboots, your full-on reboots. How has there not been like a Disney Plus, even 3D animated thing? And I'm not saying that I want to see that necessarily, especially with how, kind of mediocre and mundane the quality with a lot of that stuff has been. It's just kind of surprising it hasn't happened. And all this time, all the things that we never got for Nightmare, as massively popular as that is, and as, dare I say, ubiquitous as it's been with both Halloween and Christmas for a lot of people for the last 30 years, it's a brilliant piece of marketing, right? That you can sell it for it, like it's a commercial piece that's all about holidays, and you can sell it for like a quarter or a third of the year. It covers Christmas. It covers Halloween and Christmas, and you can keep selling it all the way through that. People will keep watching it all through that period because they're in the mood for both of those things. There's that silly argument that people have about whether Nightmare is more of a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie, and it is, and Austin and I talked about this the other day, and he says it's a Christmas movie more than it's a Halloween movie. I tend to agree with that because Jack's whole character arc, such as it is about his learning the true meaning of Christmas. So your Eyes In character is like a Halloween guy who doesn't understand Christmas and has to learn that Christmas is all about the spirit of giving when he's trying to steal someone's holiday. He's trying to take Christmas and become Santa Claus because he doesn't understand what it's all about. It's not just about Jack like figuring out that Christmas, that everything doesn't have to be scary and spooky and about horror. It's and he's trying to crack the code about that. The answer to the science experiment is it's about not being selfish, and everything he does in that movie up to the end, of course, is selfish. So the message is a Christmas message, and like your hero usually in a Christmas thing is trying to save Christmas. Our hero thinks he's doing the right thing for his friends, and most importantly to make himself feel independent and like he's with his ambition trying to go someplace brand new, but in fact he is actually the Grinch on accident. He is stealing Christmas. So yeah, it's a Christmas message before it's anything. But anyway, all of the stuff that we never got for Nightmare is kind of curious, right? Even back in the day, like you'd think as popular as that was, there'd be talk about a sequel right away. And we didn't even get a video game until quite a while later. Like there's a PS2 game, maybe it was a PS1 game, I can't remember. And Jack Skellington is in that world is a big part of one of the what is the Disney RPG? Kingdom Hearts games. So like he shows up in Disney Infinity, like he shows up in stuff, but we never got that like side-scrolling 16-bit or even 3D platformer for that character, and I always kind of wondered why. I haven't researched this. Maybe there is an answer out there, but I've always kind of wondered if maybe when Tim Burton produced that movie, and of course, his name is always on top of that as the creator of it. A lot of people still to this day, I think he directed it, but he didn't. But I wondered if he had enough clout or enough power at that time after Batman '89 to be able to say to Disney, I'm only going to make this movie if you promise that it can't be continued. There can't be any sequels or anything without my say-so, without my go-ahead. I mean, it is a thing that, and that might sound like a strange radical thing. I don't know how often contracts even really happen like that in Hollywood, but it's just very curious that it hasn't got a sequel. I wonder if it's like a Robert Zemeckis thing, where somehow he and Bob Gale have been able to kind of make sure that Back to the Future does not get tainted in some way, at least while they're still alive. Like famously, Zemeckis always says, while I'm alive, there will not be another Back to the Future, and it has not happened. But I've never heard that from Burton with Nightmare Before Christmas. And of course, it has had its spiritual sequels, not actually sequels, but like spiritual revisits, things like Coraline and Frankenweenie and stuff like that. There have been things in a similar style, and I think even stop motion, claymation stuff. But because I can't remember how exactly Coraline was done. Is that like a mix of 3D animation and claymation, or is it all I just can't even remember anymore. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. But anyway, it's just kind of shocking that has never happened with that, and I don't really. I can't get really excited about that now, just because so much IP has been kind of like shoved in our faces recently to various degrees of quality, but it's been really just about uh, like taking advantage of brand recognition, name recognition before it's been about like faithfully bringing back or recreating anything with. Yeah, and there are exceptions, of course, but like with most of the stuff we keep bringing back, and so like I wouldn't trust it. Just like I don't trust much of anything. I hate to be a cynic, but there's plenty of stuff to mine, right? Like you'd think that you'd come back with another holiday. This is another conversation Austin and I had the other day. I should have invited him for this, but I thought of it at the last minute, and I was like, I kind of want to stream something tonight. What am I going to talk about? This is what I came up with. So. So I credit where it's due. This was Austin's point. He was like, why wouldn't you just have them go to another holiday? And then I'm like, what would be as marketable as both Halloween and Christmas at the same time? Like I'd be worried if I were trying to make that any follow up you did would be kind of lame in comparison or just not as big of a deal. It's like, do you go to all the other doors or just one or two again? Like, do you make the St. Patrick's Day and Easter movie? Do you make the Mother's Day, Father's Day movie? Like, probably not. Is it the Valentine's Day Easter movie? Or again, do you just kind of hit all of those doors? I don't know. I don't know what exactly you do with it. There is and I bought this for Mikey also for Christmas. I just got him mostly Nightmare this year, and I haven't read this yet, but I thumbed through it a little bit, and this is kind of interesting. There is an all ages book that came out from, I guess, Tokyo Pop, and it's called The Battle for Pumpkin King, and it's a prequel that is Jack Skellington and the Oogie Boogie Man as like friends turned rivals. So it's like the Clark Kent Lex Luthor thing. And I guess the idea is they had to kind of battle it out. They were best friends. They had to battle it out for who was going to be Pumpkin King through going through all these like different kind of pumpkin contests. And again, it's all ages. What I've looked at it reads very cute. It doesn't have really the edge that movie does, but it looks fun for little kids, and I'm sure Mikey will really enjoy it. But if that were to be in like Nightmare is a singular piece, and by the way, it is really nice that we have something classic like this that is a singular piece and hasn't been remade and hasn't gotten terrible sequels. It doesn't even have the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing, and that just got a prequel where it never had anything until recently, still ostensibly in that same continuity, but it did have a remake or the same source material made another movie. You be the judge, however you want to look at that, with and that, also Tim Burton with his Willy Wonka movie. I've not seen that prequel yet. I've heard okay things. Like, it sounds like it might be better than I was expecting. I haven't decided if I'm going to go yet, but there could eventually be a review of that. If I end up going, I'll probably talk about it, but I've not been in a hurry to go see that movie. Anyway, I digress. This doesn't have what that did, where something else comes out and I never mean to say that anything like really ruins your childhood. Like that thing is still there, but nothing that like taints the material for people. Where now you have to say, oh, which Nightmare are you talking about? The original or that crappy remake they made? None of that. Anytime Willy Wonka comes up, I always have to clarify which one I'm talking about. It's irritating. But were this prequel to be in the same continuity, like if you counted it, it really kind of colors the ending with where Jack Skellington shows up to fight Oogie Boogie and rescue Santa Claus and Sally, because you don't really know how well they know each other or where Oogie Boogie came from, or like he's isolated, he's by himself, nobody goes there, everybody's kind of scared of him. I guess for these Halloween people, for Halloween Town, he is even too scary. He goes farther than they would. All of that always felt really arbitrary to me. By the way, that was one of the big complaints that's one of the big complaints I've always had about Nightmare is I don't really get why what he's doing is a problem for anybody in this like scary horror place. You get that one line at the beginning of like, but we're not mean in this town of Halloween. Like it's all good fun. We don't actually like hurt anybody or anything. But then like there's vampires and there's the line about like most blood drained in a single evening and all of that. Like it's very vague. Like the rules are not remotely clear, and so yeah, I guess he goes too far, and everything he's doing is mean and awful and illegal, and all of that. But I kind of like all that better if they used to know each other and they were friends, and I could kind of buy it. Like it doesn't read too retroactive. By the way, seeing comments there, I haven't really looked at them yet. Oh, there's Austin. I like I said, I should have asked him if he wanted to pop in tonight. But I'll take a look at comments here in a second. But welcome, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for hanging out. You know what is weird and retroactive? Again, a thing that I just kind of thumbed through a little bit. And at a store, I haven't even bought this. I think this came out even before the 30th anniversary. I think it was maybe the year before. It might have been this year. Honestly, I'm not sure. But there is a young adult novel for Nightmare Before Christmas that came out that is, I think it's called like The Pumpkin Queen, and it's all about Sally. And I just happened, when I was thumbing through it, to spoil the big twist reveal, or one of them, if there happens to be more than one, but there was this big twist reveal in it that retroactively said that Sally was in fact not created by Dr. Finkelstein, but came from some other land. And I don't know if she was like from some other holiday place or just or even a different dimension besides that. But that I don't know if, because I didn't read the whole thing, I don't know if he pretended to make her, if he thought he did, but she was like replaced with something. The whole thing looked incredibly convoluted, and like somehow it takes away too much from her as, I mean, I don't know if I'm right about this, but just the couple of pages I looked at, it was like, does it ruin her for this writer as a like strong female protagonist if she was built like a Frankenstein monster? So she has to have like this convoluted backstory, and has to not be like made by someone in order to have, like, I don't know, more agency or something. I have no idea why that choice was made, but I was like, oh, this is bizarre, and I don't think I could begin to take this seriously. But anyway, I'm jumping all over the place. I want to talk about music for a second, because like I said, have always loved Danny Elfman, particularly his early stuff, and I'm really excited because I'm going to all of these orchestra concerts. Like I said, I did Nightmare, and then in April, I'm going to the Batman '89 symphony show, which is, of course, also Tim Burton's. So two movies he did in 40 years, and I'm going to the concert performances, the live concert performances within like 4 months of each other. So that's super cool. And then in the middle of that, in between there, I'm also going to the Sonic Symphony. So I'll try to talk a little bit about those things when they happen. Just I won't make whole videos on them, but just, the Captain Logan show or something like this, I'll chat a little bit about it. And I also got Mikey. So for our family, for our big family present this year, I guess one of them, I also got the kids a really neat custom arcade machine, which maybe I'll do a video on, that plays Switch games. But we got a record player, a really nice Audio-Technica record player. I'm super excited about it. We've been playing records the last couple of days. It's been a lot of fun. I collected records some before, but I didn't have a great player, so I hardly ever played them. And now I'm getting more into records. I've bought the majority of the They Might Be Giants records now that I care about, and that was a big part of our Christmas. But I also got Mikey, of course, the double disc set for The Night Before Christmas. There's a few different reissues of this year. This one, there's one that is a cool picture disc, and I forget if that's a Walmart exclusive or who has that. But this is, I like this one equally well. This is the purple disc with Jack's face right in the center. It's pretty neat. And anyway, like I said, I've always been a big fan of that of the soundtrack. I would probably call it my favorite musical, if only I liked the story as much as I like the story for something like Willy Wonka or for Mary Poppins, both of which are way up there for me. And And then I'm also a big fan of like My Fair Lady as far as musicals go. But that's probably my top five. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would go in there. But yeah, it was surreal getting to see that score played live in front of me, because I actually kind of kept having to remind myself that I wasn't in a movie theater and that I was actually at a concert. And some of that crowd had the same problem, because when we got to the end, the crowd was clapping at the credits. The concert wasn't over, and I don't know if they were supposed to or not, because it seemed like the conductor seemed a little bit surprised by it. Like he was smirking, was amused by it, but I kind of, because they played it 3 nights in a row, and I wondered if that happened at every performance, because everybody erupted into applause, like the movie is over, but you weren't here for a movie so much as a concert. By the way, well, I'll make this point real quick. And then there were a few people that actually got up and left. And I had my head in my hands. I was like, guys, it's a concert. They're not done playing yet. They still have to play the suite through the credits. What are you doing? And it wasn't a bunch of people, but I had the same thing that I do in the movie theater, but even more so when people like get up in the middle of like MCU movies during the credits, where I'm like, these things have been going for like 15 years now, and you still don't know there's after credits. This is even worse, where it's like, guys, you're not even in a movie theater. But I can sympathize a little bit, because I had to keep, like I said, reminding myself that I was not just watching a movie, but at an orchestra show, because it was almost too good. Like, I know that score really well, and every single note was pitch perfect, of course. And it's absolutely astounding and really impressive the way it synced with the sound effects and original vocal performances. So going in, I thought maybe they were hiring actors and doing live sound effects, which would have been cool. But what they did was almost more impressive, because you had to sync the whole soundtrack that you're creating live with, like I said, a 70, 80 piece orchestra, with a preset tempo that is set by voices and sound effects. So how do you even do that? Well, from my vantage point, I was able to actually see it, and what the conductor did was he had a screen right in front of him, kind of tilted, that was also showing the movie, and there was a white dot in the center of the screen that would occasionally flick, like blink in time, so that he could keep the exact tempo of the movie. Because usually in a concert with an orchestra or a band, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, the conductor keeps the time. That's a huge part of his job. It's not just about telling different sections if they need to be pianissimo or fortissimo, or if we're speeding up, if we're slowing down. It's about keeping the tempo in the first place. If you've seen Whiplash, not my tempo. He's got his baton and he's keeping the tempo, but he has to keep an exact perfect tempo with the film. And even with that dot, which it's just impressive that he's able to do that. I wasn't sure exactly how it works, because at first I thought it was going to be like a metronome, where it flashed maybe on, like, every 2 and 4 or something, if we're in 4/4 time. Obviously some of that is very waltzy, so it'll be like 3/4 time. I don't know if there's any like weird time signatures in Nightmare, but it's at least got some 4/4 and some 3/4, and he's keeping his tempo along with that. I thought it was going to be just a metronome, but occasionally it kind of changes, and I don't think it's just with time signatures. I don't know exactly how that works. And there was also this like vertical white line that would occasionally go across the screen, and I wasn't totally sure what that meant either. But like I said, I kept trying to focus more on the orchestra than the movie, but anytime I would look at the screen, I would be kind of like taken out of the fact that there was an orchestra there. Also because the sound balance was so good, with the exception of a couple of, and I'm not even complaining because I cared a lot more about the music for this performance, of course. So there were a couple of exceptions, like with the Oogie Boogie song, where the music is just so loud it does start to overpower vocals and sound effects a little bit. But like, who cares? It was a great show. You know what the best part of the whole show was? It was the credits. It was the suite, because now there's not anything to distract you from this wonderful live music. And I found myself kind of wishing that it was just the score and we weren't looking at a movie, because I don't think Mikey fully appreciated what we were even seeing. He just got to go see Nightmare on a way, way, way bigger screen than we even saw it at the movie theater. And I kept pointing out cool things with the instruments. You know, the guy with his big timpani drum, and the like small jazz horn section during the Oogie Boogie song, and a couple of other places. And he thought that was cool when I would point it out to him. But I think for the most part, he was just watching the movie, and that's a testament to how perfectly recreated that orchestra. That soundtrack was by that live orchestra. One of the really cool things in that show too was the couple of places where that score has what sounds like an accordion, because there is the band that plays like funeral dirges in Nightmare. Do you remember the scene where Jack is trying to get them to play Jingle Bells, and he's got his bells, and he plays it for him like ding, 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 and then they play like a funeral dirge version of it. Well, there's the guy that's got the accordion, and you hear that, and you're like, where's the accordion? Like, I started looking through the orchestra trying to find the accordion. There isn't one. So I'm not sure if it was, I don't know what instruments they were using to recreate that sound. If it was some combination of like, I don't know, I was gonna say like oboe and something, but like it's got to be like a string. Maybe it's some kind of a string horn combination. I don't even know what it is, honestly. And I'm not I don't play a band instrument or an orchestra instrument, and so I've just not been in that environment enough. Closest I ever got was choir and bell choir. So like the closest I ever got to playing an instrument was being on the back table in a church bell choir with huge bells, just because I could read bass clef. Anyway, so it was really crazy hearing that sound and having no idea how it was being produced. And then as I'm walking out, there was a couple behind me that was having the same conversation that I had in my head when I was watching it, where the guy was like, I was looking for an accordion. I couldn't find one. I turned around. I was like, I know. What was that? How did they do that? And then it got me thinking, I bet there's no I bet there's no accordion in that original score either. And I bet they reproduced it precisely the same way that Elfman's orchestra did. But that was a really cool special thing to get to go to, and I'm really glad that I did that with Mikey. It was a really fun kind of bonding experience for us. And like I said, I'm taking Freddie and Jason to the Sonic show next month. So again, that's a big orchestra and band playing music all through Sonic's history, and I've seen a couple of those performances online. They've been doing it for, I think, a few years now, and it's crazy comprehensive, just to move to Sonic for a minute. And the quality of the music doesn't matter. I mean, they'll play anything and everything. Stuff that's great and stuff that is dated and wasn't all that great to begin with. And it's also crazy just how current it gets, because they're playing stuff this year from Frontiers and Superstars. And Superstars is not that great of a soundtrack. It's got a couple of kind of bangers, but ultimately I thought it was kind of lackluster. But I guess it's neat that some of that's in there, and they've got a whole suite for Sonic Mania. Sonic R has been kind of reappraised in the last few years, and people are starting to come around and really appreciate the like 90s dance stuff in that soundtrack, and it it gets some play in that. And so anyway, I'm really excited to get to see that. I'm hoping they play some Night's music, because one of the performances I saw, they actually did a Night suite in it, or at least the main Night's theme was part of a medley. I can't remember which, but stoked about that. Like I said, I'll try to talk about that when it happens. But yeah, I decided to make this just to say Nightmare has been everywhere this year, and kind of weirdly a big part of my life again. And I wonder if more material for that will eventually end up happening after, just, I want to say the resurgence of popularity. I don't think it ever stopped being popular, but I kind of wonder if all this stuff is selling maybe better than they thought it would. I guess. I guess we'll find out down the road, or if they even can make anything else. Again, I'm very, very fine with that never happening, and I also kind of wonder just like how easy that property is to license, because not just this year, there's always a decent amount of Nightmare stuff. It's just this year it's been absolutely insane. Okay, I'm gonna go through and see what folks are saying in the comments. Nicholas Bodo, maybe Oogie Boogie did nothing wrong. In the rules of their world, I couldn't tell you. Like, what is going on with his minions, his henchmen? Like, there are these kids that I guess don't have any parents, and Oogie Boogie conscripts them to work for him, and then when he gets taken out at the end and gets reduced to all of his bugs, they just assimilate back into the culture, I guess, because they're still around at the end of the movie, and there's no repercussions whatsoever for what they did. So, I don't know. Robert Wildcap, will you be able to live stream commentary the Batman '89 Symphony? No, of course not. But I have kicked around eventually doing another '89 commentary just about the music, or maybe we would even listen to the music isolated from the vocals or from the dialogue and stuff, and just discuss the score. And a couple different people I could go to that are bigger music buffs than me that might want to talk about that with me. It might be cool to have the Jeff on that stream. Jareth Gearhart, Wonka was actually good. I keep hearing that. Robert, if you're going to cast Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa, go all the way and put him in makeup and costume. I could not agree with you more on that. That kind of thing is always really off-putting to me. Like, it just looks lazy, but it's more expensive. So, like, is it just you couldn't get a high-profile actor to agree to do that? I doubt very seriously if that was the case. I bet he would have. If not, I would think you would want somebody that would be willing to do that, so it would look as good as it could and as authentic as it could to that material. It just seems like that's how we do that now. We CG everything, whether it is practical and necessary or not. I've always said, if the character's head and obviously, the rest of their body, but like if they're humanoid in the first place, but they have like a really weird, the character, I mean, an alien or whatever it is, has a weirdly, like, some kind of creature, a super weird shaped head that you can't possibly make a real person's head look like, or just has way too much going on that you can't do with prosthetics. Like, I kind of get it. Or at least do some prosthetics and then enhance it with CG. But when it's something like that, where it's just, he's got orange face, I don't understand that. And obviously, CG wasn't necessary the first time. You're not adding anything to it. It doesn't make it look any better with CG. And I realize I've not seen the movie, but I saw that trailer. I just don't see why it's necessary. Robert, again, Nightmare Before Christmas had major rewrites in the third act, and you can tell. And they were still figuring it out at the last minute. He says, you can tell, but I don't mind it. It doesn't ruin the whole thing for me, but it just feels sloppy and rushed. And by the way, I've reviewed the movie before, and I didn't want to make this a full-on review or anything. Jason and I did a podcast discussion on it maybe 3 years ago, and I've never done a commentary on that movie. I've always kind of wanted to. And Austin and I were talking about maybe doing that next year because I didn't even realize Austin, um, liked that movie and was very familiar with it. Uh, so maybe we would have done that this year if it had occurred to me to ask him. But I we had enough else going on that I don't know if we would have gotten to it. But maybe we'll try to finally do that next year. I don't think I've ever done a commentary on that movie, although I've got so many videos that I've done this for so many years that every now and again something will pop up like on my because YouTube will recommend your own videos to you and stuff. And every now and again, a video will pop up that I made a million years ago that I don't even remember doing. So I don't know. It's possible. I was talking about the close proximity between Danny Elfman doing Before Christmas and Batman '89. Of course, there's a lot of Nightmare in the Returns score, and as much as I'm not a huge fan of that movie, Returns has a wonderful soundtrack, a wonderful score, and Making Christmas is just in there in several places. Dun 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 dun. There's a bunch of that, and the instrumentation is very much the same. So like all that xylophone stuff is in both movies. Watch Nightmare and Batman Returns back to back if you've never noticed that, and you won't be able to unsee it. And I'm not even saying they're the same soundtrack because they're not, or the same score, but there's those couple of motifs or melodies that get reused in both. I'm just jumping all over the place here with comments. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas, and I hope you're doing cool things for New Year's. Nicholas Bodo, wasn't there a video game sequel that came out in the 2000s? Yeah, and I've never looked into that, so I don't know what it did story-wise, but so I guess, if that was kind of a true sequel in its story, I guess that sort of counts as like they came back and made a sequel, but it's a video game. Nobody talks about it. A lot of people didn't play it. So I mean, not a true sequel you know, in the practical sense. Folks just kind of talking to Austin in the comments. Let's see here. Alex Barron, I always left during the credits in Marvel movies because I just don't care. Well, okay, that's fair. And more power to you. Do whatever you want to. I always got the sense that some of the folks, particularly like families and older people, that I would see leave just didn't get the memo that there are after credit scenes and that sometimes important plot points will show up in them that should have been in the movie but weren't. Like with respect to Alex, my issue with that kind of thinking is if you spend your hard-earned money to go see a movie, you should not have any of it like taken from you or stolen from you. So it's not your fault that sometimes things that should have been in the movie proper are in the mid credits or after credits, but at the same time sometimes they are. So like to go to the movie and then like a huge plot point like spoilers for this, but like the end of the second Spider-Man movie, first it's Homecoming and then it's Far From Home. Far From Home. I was confused. Far From Home and No Way Home. The fact that you have to wait all the way, or is it mid credits? Maybe it's mid credits, but the fact that you have to wait through some credits before you find out that everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man now, that kind of sucks. There shouldn't have been credits in between that, so my point is, like, Alex, more power to you, but like I'm always gonna stay because I need to know what those big plot points are. Alex says, and credits are so long now, some are like 12 and 13 minutes. Yeah, and we've definitely conditioned people that credits go for the next 9 years when you finish a movie. Day Ghost, hope everyone sat through the credits of Aquaman 2. Is that because there was a horrible after credits or because there wasn't any? I'm sure Austin has heard things about that I haven't found out about yet. I honestly keep forgetting that is out or coming out. Is that already out? I think it's already out. I don't even know, honestly. But and no, and nobody's asked me anything about it. Obviously, I will review it when I get around to going. Um, for those of you that don't know, my wife is very, very pregnant, and she's going to deliver any day now. And so I have not been in a hurry to get to the theater, just in case I had to leave in the middle of a movie or something. So I will probably wait on that until after we're out of the hospital. And I don't mind doing a thing like this because I can easily just cut this short and be like, okay, guys, my wife's water broke. I got to get going. Thomas Lowe, wouldn't it be cool if movies in the future played the music separately live as the movie plays? Yeah, and I had this thought. Wouldn't it be neat if somebody's first time seeing Nightmare Before Christmas was at that show? There were some kids there, and I wondered if any parents brought their kids and hadn't showed them the movie ahead of time. That'd be killer. I don't know, like, despite story issues I have with that movie, I don't know how anybody could not enjoy that experience. And and find that to be kind of a special movie moving forward. Robert, if they did a live concert showing of the movie Whiplash, I would totally see that. That would be neat. I don't think you could call it a concert. I think it would just be a stage play, right? It'd be a stage play with music in it. Yeah, I would go to that in a heartbeat. I wonder if that's a thing anybody's put on yet. That sounds just natural for the stage, right? As much as like Misery or any, and that's not a one room drama, but it's close enough. I mean, it takes place in just a couple locations. A lot of his practice rooms. Like you could put that on a black box. Like you have to come up with a way to do the plot point where somebody gets hit by a car, but besides that, minor spoilers for that movie. Code Geass post-credit scenes in general haven't been great in recent years. No, that's true. All I'm saying is sometimes they're important, and very often they're not. And very often they seem really important in the moment, but then the studio changes its mind about directions, or projects get canceled and things get moved around, and so the big thing we were setting up is not what we're going to do now, or we just directly are going to have to contradict it later. So no, it is a waste of everybody's time. It absolutely is. Pros and Cons Guy, $5 super chat. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you. The opening scene where Jack is dressed like a scarecrow and lights his body on fire, then jumped into the fountain and rises, revealing his true self, was awesome. Yeah, and just imagine having to do that in stop motion. Yeah, no, it's really cool. And it's neat that you buy, like, it's not a scary movie, but there's some really great kind of horror imagery in it. And so it strikes that great balance of being a family thing, but having enough of an edge that you're buying this being where the Halloween holiday comes from. Like, as much as you have to buy, we have Christmas because Santa comes from this place called Christmas Town. That's like this alternate dimension. It's all about Christmas. You have to buy that the spooky things that are under your bed and the things that go bump in the night come from this this Halloween dimension, and you do. Or at least I do. Robert, The Suicide Squad is the last movie I can think of that had a joke post-credit scene that was actually funny. Yeah, and most of the DCUU ones have just been embarrassing and painful, and makes me wish that I had Alex's attitude and just didn't stay for them. But anyway, folks, that's really all I wanted to talk about. I don't know that I have much left to say about this. Except just, it's been a big year for anniversaries. We did a Captain Logan show about that, Jason and I, and Nightmare was in that list, but we didn't talk a whole lot about it. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of that tonight. And like I said, not a full-on review. I just wanted to talk about the fun experiences that I've gotten to have with that this year, and show off a couple things that I picked up for Nightmare. And I don't know. There's a bunch of other stuff that I could have gotten for Mikey. Like, I hope I don't regret anything that I didn't end up grabbing that I won't be able to get later on. But like, there's really cool figure sets and things. But I didn't want to horribly overdo it. Mikey's got that movie completely memorized. Like he knows every word to every song, and I was afraid that I was going to burn him out on it after taking him to the theater and the orchestra, and the symphony. And just today, he was like, "Dad, can I watch Nightmare with my nap?" And I was like, "Oh, good. I haven't ruined it for him yet by taking him to too much Nightmare stuff." His mom, my wife, never been a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. Doesn't get it. Thinks that world is vague and confusing, and she does not see the internal logic to it. I have the same problem with it, but the aesthetic and the music absolutely gets me through it. Like I said earlier. And so she's had to kind of tolerate Mikey's obsession with Nightmare Before Christmas, and she doesn't have a problem with it. She just doesn't care, and it's just been a lot of Nightmare this year. She actually was kind of a sport about it and watched it with us a few months ago because Mikey wanted to watch it with the family, and it was really fun us watching Mikey watch it because he sang through the entire thing. For a 5-year-old, he's got a great voice. Mikey really carries the tune. It's cool. I called the thumbnail Nightmare Revisited because I've talked about this before, and now I'm revisiting it. But also to remind myself to tell anybody that's not aware of it about the compilation cover album that came out probably a decade ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. I bought it on CD when it came out, but it has that same title. It's called Nightmare Revisited. I find it super hit and miss, but it's worth it for, like, I don't like to listen to it cover to cover, but there are a few tracks on it that are really worth it. It's a lot of the famous artists and bands that you'll likely have heard of doing the whole, all the songs, in order from the film. And it opens with Marilyn Manson doing This Is Halloween. That's a great track. But the best thing on it is Amy Allen from Evanescence doing Sally's song. You gotta listen to it just for that. And of course, that's on Spotify and lots of other places where you can listen to music. So I'm sure you wouldn't have to pay for it if you wanted to listen to it. But I would recommend pieces of that, but some of it is not great and honestly kind of painful. But it's kind of interesting to hear the songs in order in a bunch of different styles. So that's kind of neat. Something else to mention about this record is, and I will do a stream, a video on vinyl in general at some point. I want to do a lot of collection videos next year, and one of them I'll do for vinyl. When we get out of the winter season and there's more moisture in the air and it's easier for me to talk because it's just the air is so dry. I'm having a hard time getting through videos right now. But some of the records I've been getting lately kind of mix things up to make it more worth you buying the record versus listening to the thing on Spotify or CD or however else you might get it. And now, the thing about this recording I'm about to mention might be featured in other places, but if you listen to the Nightmare soundtrack again on, just say, Spotify, I don't think you get this. I might be wrong about that, honestly. But anyway, what's cool about this release is it includes some narration. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of it, honestly, that starts with the narrator at the beginning of the movie that's like, if you don't know where holidays come from, I'd say it's time you've begun. I always thought it was weird that you had an opening narrator and then he never comes back. That's not a through with that at all. But it starts with that, and then and the writing is pretty good. It adds to it and occasionally does come back and narrate the story a little bit. Again, there could be more of it, but it's Patrick Stewart. And, of course, that's the perfect voice for this. It's a more recent Patrick Stewart, so you can hear his age a little bit. I kind of wish he could have recorded it like 10 years ago, but he still sounds really good. So that's a selling point for that. I just wanted to bring that up. Robert, have you ruined Batman 89 for any of your kids yet? You know, I haven't shown it to them a ton, which you might be a little bit surprised by. Like, as much as I love revisiting that, and I've done a lot of commentaries on the channel, there's so much stuff to show my kids, and even a lot of other Batman movies, and so we watch it every so often, but I've not burnt them out on it. Jason's definitely seen 89 more than any of the other kids have. And time gets away from me. Like, I always think, a month has passed when it's been 3 years, for my kids, and I'll bring up something that I know they saw, and they won't remember it. And I'm like, did we just do that? Oh, no, it was like 3 months ago. Okay. And 89 is one of those things. So I'll mention things about that movie to Freddie, and he's like, which one is that from? I don't even remember. And I'm like, oh, I'm raising you wrong. We're not watching 89 enough. But anyway, Robert, will we get a Bat Bunker tour update next year? I may do that. Like, it's been something of a tradition, but I don't know if I've added, quite enough that it would be that much different. Like I said, I did get a new arcade machine that I'd like to show off in something. It might be a shorter one than the live one I did last year, or maybe I'll try to do another live one, but with better quality and videography, because I just did it on my phone last year and it didn't turn out great. It didn't look real good. So or maybe I'll just go around with a regular camera and just upload footage. Wouldn't that be a novelty if I just edited a video and uploaded it, and I wasn't a lazy bastard and I didn't just stream everything? We have turned into much more of a streaming channel, and that's why it the word live now is in the channel name, and some of that has been by necessity, just for the folks that have not heard about this. But I also have just really enjoyed it and gotten kind of addicted to it. And at the risk, again, of looking a little bit lazy, I've got almost 6 kids now. It's difficult to put out very much content and edit a lot, and this stuff, it tends to do about as well as my edited stuff did. So I hope you guys don't mind the more long form stuff and the more podcasty things, but I have really enjoyed it. And doing that, having things streams, calling them streams, lets me get away with talking about something like this for an hour as opposed to 15 minutes and not, it looking kind of weird. Why did you go on for so long about that? Well, it's streams. People are coming live. They want to hang out with you for a while. Hayden Spring, is the 89 comic worth getting? Yeah. It's worth it for covers and some of the art. It is not Sam Hamm's best work, writing-wise. And I have a hard time just, like, buying it as being in that same world, some of it. I think there's too much of an attempt at blending 89 and Returns and making it fit in that as a continuity. And some of that might just be me, where Returns in 89 almost feel like different worlds to me anyway, but a lot of really counterintuitive choices with that. I have not read past the first issue in a while. Like, I reviewed that first issue last year when I was reviewing some single issues, and I have read the whole thing, but it's been a little while. I actually bought that in hardcover recently, and I've been meaning to read it again and finally do a full-on review. So maybe I'll try to do that soon. A lot of comic stuff I want to do this year if I can get to it. And that would be real close to the top of my list of priorities. Robert, the sequel to the 89 comic looks like it could be better. I'm really hoping so. Superman 78 was definitely the better of the two. I enjoyed that immensely. I also haven't done a full-on review of that either. So maybe I'll try to do those sometime in the not-too-distant future. Nicholas Bodo, your kids would love Mask of the Phantasm. They do. That's actually the one that they ask for more often, and the one that I put on for them more of the time. And I think part of that is just they love animation and they love that show. But yeah, that's... I should show that to the girls soon, because they've been really liking the animated Batman show as well. But yeah, we're coming right up on an hour. I think that's probably long enough for this. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I posted about this today, but for folks that are not aware, I am technically on hiatus right now. I don't know how long that from regular content, and I don't know how long that hiatus will go. But I will stream stuff like this as often as possible. Just whenever I come up with a topic, or I do have time to read or watch something that I can sit down and do a kind of lackadaisical review like this on. I will do that. So never fear, you'll still get some content from me while we're getting prepared for the new baby and after the new baby comes. But it's gonna be at least a few weeks, probably before it's gonna, or at least a couple weeks before it's gonna make sense for me to get back to anything like the normal schedule. And I'm just going to play things by ear, so everybody please be patient with me, because I'm not sure yet what's going to make the most sense, like coming back for a few weeks and then taking another hiatus, or just taking a full-on hiatus for a couple few months. I don't know what's going to happen yet. My house is going to be very busy and kind of crazy. I've got toddler twins on top of a newborn coming. The least amount of space we put between kids. It shouldn't be as hectic as twins were in the first place, of course, but it'll still be somewhat hectic, and a lot of people to take care of and keep up with. But it'll be great. I'm excited about it. I like symmetry, and we're having one more girl, so 3 boys, 3 girls. I can't complain. The only reason we had any more kids in the first place was because I wanted girls. And so now I'm going to have 3. So that's exciting. And I keep thinking about it like they're triplets, and this one just came kind of late. Robert Wild, if you live stream the birth of your next child, that might be a step too far. That would be a step too far. I wouldn't be above doing a stream, like a short stream, while Sarah was in the hospital. But not there, like coming back here and just jumping on and being like, "Hi guys, I'm going to talk to you for half an hour." But that is as far as I would go if I even did that. Jareth, Aquaman 2 review next week. The stupid heart still gets in the way. I don't know what the rest of this is next week. Oh, weekend. Don't know yet. I cannot commit to that, but I will do a review when I see it, and I will try to see it in the theater. That's all I can say. Although, it's not doing well, so I should probably, get there, like, earlier rather than later. But like I said earlier, if you missed it, I don't know if I want to go to the theater right now as close as my wife is to delivering, because I might have to get up in the middle of a movie if she was to go into labor. So, anyway, I'm going to get going. Appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed this kind of haphazard stream about the 30th anniversary of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Just anniversary on top of anniversary. I've done some Power Rangers content this year. I got X2 knocked out for the Rewind Commentary Project because it was a big anniversary year for X-Men and for that movie in particular. So we did some of the anniversary things. And now finally I got something up for Nightmare. Robert, what does the heart actually do? I'm afraid to press it. I think it just makes hearts like float up, because I keep seeing that happen. Like sometimes somebody will click something that makes hearts float up from the bottom. Here, I'll click it and see what happens. Oh, I see. It has other things besides a heart. So there's like a menu that pops up. So it has like a 100% thing and a heart and like a, yeah, just, so I got like the open mouth, like happy face. Just, it just floats up. Can you guys all see that when I do that? You should be able to see that happen. It's silly. I don't know why they have that. And I don't know why it has to be like in the way of words when people are typing. YouTube improvements tend to be a step backwards. I don't know. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. And I will be back again sometime soon with more random conversations and reviews. Bye, everybody. See you, folks.